All right, welcome back, guys. We've got round 3 pairings. Let's go ahead and take a look at the lists and pick a content creator to track. Looks like we have one Jame versus one of our community members in Old Wolf. One Jame, it looks like, is in the 2-0 bracket, so I think that'll probably be a good person to follow. Mardu midrange versus Rakdos midrange.
The one Jame, this would be a good one. He's off to a good start today. And if you end up 3-0, you're going to be setting yourself up pretty well to make the top 8.
And one Jame has already won the first door prize for our players with a $25 Ultra Pro gift card.
And it looks like we are well underway on their game already.
One Jame is
going to go ahead and get rid of that and save yourself some damage early here.
One Jame is short a land, so if he doesn't hit here, then he can't really cast much next turn. He can play the Expert, but that's about it.
Yep, Oni Cult Anvil. And this deck that he's playing against is very much about like long-term grindy value. There's a bunch of ways to like nick your opponent for 1s and 2s every turn. You know, get some value from late meat hooks, sacrificing your stuff constantly. And missing a land here is very, very critical for James because you're just going to fall behind over your opponent's advantage because it has a lot of long-term card advantage. It's going to be tough. But surprisingly, a 1-2 does block everything on the opposing side right now.
Everything except for an Oni Cult Anvil, which is very good.
Yep. Oh, a second Anvil. That's really bad.
Yep, that's, woof. And they already made a golem here from
the first one, yeah. And unfortunately, Vanishing Burst does not get rid of those because they are multicolor. Yeah, unfortunately, all you can do is kind of sit back. All right. Oh, well, this is compounding the situation here.
Yep.
But you are able to get rid of it before you move to the attack step. So that's actually pretty good. You don't get to turn one of those 1/1s into a 3/1. But you do still get to get a lot of value here from your anvils if you want to.
It is pretty funny just seeing the 1-2 just kind of brick the attack step, which is interesting.
It's usually not this much of a monster, but it's going to do a lot of work here. All right, tons of triggers. Do find Professor of Symbology, which I'm assuming is going to go get environmental sciences to help us find lands. Don't know if it's going to be fast enough, but it does also gain you 2 life, so it does negate some of the problems you'd be running into for a turn. Yeah, this is kind of the point where you just have so much value coming from the opponent's deck here. All right, chump blocking one of them, taking 2, going down to 12.
The nice thing about you get to run these in for free, essentially, just because it is going to be replacing itself. Just get in a little bit of chip damage with the extra 2 golems, make 2 more golems, and then sacrifice golems to the anvils to just do some more chip damage. And it's going to be tough to come back from that spot.
Yeah, we end up sacking our other artifact, giving us access to another card, which is a Meat Hook Massacre, which you play for 0. So now every time something dies, you're getting to potentially hit the opponent for 2 for each sacrifice from the anvil. And this is where it starts getting real bad.
Agreed.
Yeah, there's just... I mean... I'm kind of looking like even if you get rid of a token, it doesn't really do much. They can sacrifice it anyway. You can make the Goblin Shaman token, which is a 2/2, so you could block a little bit more. It'd at least guarantee you have 4 mana next turn.
Yep, I like that.
While adding to the board.
I think Fable of the Mirror Breaker is the play here. Gives you another blocker, gets you some token generation, stems the bleeding from these little golems that are kind of getting in. And ultimately, we're going to need to find some sort of answer for the chip damage that's coming through.
Yeah, I feel like the best thing you can hope for here is maybe play a Sorin.
Yeah, the lifelink could
hope your vampire lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do get to block a lot of these here. The thing is, though, I'm kind of curious why we're not blocking with the Professor of Symbology, because like if we're not attacking with it, we should be blocking with it. Though maybe we're saving it because there's a Rite of Oblivion, and we want to just have something to throw to it.
Or
I guess
we're saving it because of the Hive of the Eye Tyrant. We want to make sure we have 2 blockers if need be.
Possibly. Oh wow, this is a big turn there.
Yeah. That is a lot of stuff.
Yeah, this becomes a problem now because the Meat Hook Massacre's out. Like, you don't even have a good block here because stuff that dies is also going to hit you. Like, anything that sacrifices is also going to drain you. Like, even if you play the Sorin and the token lives,
it's still lethal on board with the Hive of the Eye
Tyrant. Yeah, it only puts you at 7. You block across the board. You take 4, take 3, and then stuff dies. So you take those. Yeah, I don't think there's any way out here.
Agreed. Wow, discarding the swamp, huh? Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, yeah, this is just one of those, like, I don't even know if there is a good choice here.
I would think one of the Legion Angels would definitely be the discard. Probably. Yeah.
The only thing I think we could have found here that might have changed stuff would have been like a Vanishing Verse to get rid of the Meat Hook Massacre to give you a shot.
I still think you die to the Anvils next turn. They just have too many cards.
Yeah, you probably would still die to the Anvils.
Okay, this is interesting. Getting a treasure token here for the extra mana, which gives us enough for...
Go to 7.
Maybe it's Cathar. Go to 7. Cathar the 3/2. Yeah, that's probably as good as it's gonna get.
Still bad though, because you're gonna get 2 damage through, so you go to 5. Sack whatever gets blocked, so that's 3, put you down. Another 4 more, put you to 1. And then the other thing you don't sacrifice that gets blocked. That's the final point.
Let's be honest. This is a bad spot into a bad spot. There's no
true.
There's no good way to eat the cookie, right?
Yeah, he was stuck at 2 land up until 2 turns ago. Yeah, it's just not much to be done here, unfortunately.
Agreed.
Like, you got the Anvils, you still have Hive of the Eye Tyrant you can attack with. Yeah. That's the right play. Just get in with everything.
Agreed. With the Meat Hook Massacre, it just puts your opponent in such a tough spot.
Yeah. And there's whatever you block just doesn't even have value because it just gets sacrificed. Yeah. Yep. That's going to drain for 2. Sack the other one, drain for 2. Yeah.
Between the Meat Hook and the Anvil, that's just like so much trigger damage.
Yeah, that's just tough. I feel for Jaden. Being stuck on those 2 lands for so long just didn't give him an opportunity. Tiger Sword says, "Can we petition to have James stop winning things?"
Well, for at least this game, you got your wish. I will say,
that's true.
In the last few Degen Opens, I think the one James has kind of bubbled at like 9th and 10th place for the last 2 Opens. So we're wishing him well.
Yeah, he's definitely been consistently finishing high. So.
But just never quite top 8ing, so.
Yep, maybe today's the day. Lark says, is it time for another giveaway? Not quite yet, Lark.
Next round, we're doing 4 coverage giveaways in the 9 rounds.
Oh, they were asking, is the new Nerd Girl art going to have glasses or laser eyes?
Glasses.
Oh, laser eyes is kind of funny.
Yeah. The new art is the Kamigawa art that I'm on the wait list for the artist.
Cool.
Mm-mm.
I also found it interesting that James had 2 of the Legion Angels main, whereas most of the time, and myself included, when you see people build lists like that, you kind of just put one angel in and the others in the sideboard. So I wonder if it's he wanted to draw the angels more consistently, or if he wanted more space in the sideboard. Or maybe a little bit of both. Yeah, I'm not sure what the best plan is for this fight. Because you're really, like, the thing that James deck looked like it's good at doing as far as, like, handling the creatures and sweeping things, like, that's not really what is great against his opponent's deck, where it's just incremental value from a bunch of little bitty things over the course of the game.
This was a snap keep from James, which I'm a little surprised to see because the hand just doesn't do a ton.
Yeah, I agree.
And the Vanishing Verses aren't very good against Anvil. Spellbinders are good, but it's kind of slow.
I will say picking up a Meathook Massacre here is pretty solid because there are some times you just want to have a Massacre so you're not giving up that extra value.
Yeah.
Enough that I might consider taking this turn off to play it if I don't play the Hagra Mauling down.
There is enough X1s in the opponent's deck that I think I'm okay to hold on to it, that I don't think I'm getting punished in any meaningful way by holding it.
Yeah, and my thought was if I wasn't going to play the Hagra Mauling, I probably would have went ahead and played the Massacre. But you're right, you can hold it for just later in the game. But if I'm not going to play Massacre, I would rather just play the Hagra Mauling to make sure I just have 4 mana when the time comes.
Couple of options here. You can get rid of the Volt Surge to protect your pressure on board. You can get rid of the Fable Jiki, or you can get rid of the Experimental, but that's not great.
Probably taking the Fable of the Mirror Breaker here, mostly because they kind of want Meat Hook down anyway, and a Meat Hook for 1 still kills your Spellbinder.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was more. That's yeah. That whole hand was pretty solid against what you're trying to do right now.
Yep. Agreed.
The good news though is you do have Vanishing Verse, but it's just what do you want to get rid of here? Because we already saw last game, like the Anvils plus the Massacre is just so good.
All right, looks like we're opting not to do any removal spells, but rather to further the hand disruption. Oof, a second Anvil for Old Wolf here in both games is gonna be tough to deal with. But we have slowed our opponent down from the Meat Hook Massacre, but I don't know that that's the best play I would have made, because a land here and you attack with a Kiki Jiki, you can then Meat Hook for 1 anyway, so the math there doesn't quite work out.
Yeah, it's just one of those cases where the opponent just kind of has it all. And like I said, this is one of those situations where it's a tougher matchup because, like I was saying, the things that James deck is good at dealing with isn't really what the opponent's doing here, right? Yeah. Even where normally Spellbinders would be impactful, if you're able to get rid of like a 4 or 5 mana thing, maybe a Planeswalker, stuff like that. This deck doesn't really have those. So even though you're getting rid of things, they all cost like 1 and 2, so you're still able to play them all, and it doesn't really matter. Yeah, still has access to 2 mana here. Gonna go ahead and use a Voltage Surge. Get rid of 1 of the flyers and make some tokens. Now, this is a spot where if James wants to, could actually play the Meat Hook Massacre.
I don't believe so, Airball.
Though I guess... Yeah, the fact once they start making treasure again, you're not going to be able to keep them off tokens from the anvils. I was thinking maybe you could possibly exile their red artifact and then, but the problem is they just get to make treasure and just always has something to sacrifice there.
Well, they could sacrifice the artifact, the red artifact as well.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You'd have to get rid of that and stop the treasure, which is a bit much. Yeah, reduce to memory. I mean, you can get rid of one of them. I mean, got to do something.
Yeah, the professor's a good blocker for that too. So it's a solid, 1 for 1 at the end of the day. Assuming this Meat Hook Massacre doesn't come down for 1.
Yeah, wouldn't be a bad call. Meat Hook for 1 here. You still get to attack for 3.
And you would even get a replacement for one of your 1/1s that died. Kill both of their X1s. You only lose 1/1/1. Be pretty good.
Yeah, I think I would have considered that actually. Oh, actually, they couldn't. Actually, they didn't have the treasure yet. That one's still being taxed by the Spellbinder. But Alolth is actually pretty good here. And now if a Meat Hook Massacre comes down, that's a whole lot of value for Alolth. Yeah, I guess you still have Vanishing Verse here. But then you're still staring down a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah, Vanishing Verse and Meat Hook for 1 here is not a terrible option. I think that is where my head would be. Vanishing Verse, the Lulth, attack for 3, Meat Hook for 1, leaving them just the 2/2/2s. And again, they're going to just kind of spiral out of control again. But, you get to kill all the 1/1s and whoa, attack for 1. Or attack. Oh, no, I guess they have reach. I guess that doesn't matter.
Yeah, the 2 spiders are there. No, this is kind of what I was saying earlier about the Hagra Mauling, is and in this matchup, you don't really have great targets for it. So I would have rather have had it in play because on a turn like this, if you had the Hagra Mauling already down, you could have potentially done all this and still Meat Hook for 2 and cleared the board entirely.
That's a 3rd anvil. We've already removed 1 this game.
Yeah. And Only Called Anvil's so good. It's yeah, this is just what I was saying. Just that incremental, constant damage of just like, okay, we'll drain you for 1. I'm making another token.
It's the new cat oven.
Yeah, basically. All right. I think this is... We've still got a long way. You're at 17 life. Like, still a lot happening here. So we are going to generate 2 treasures. Also, a neat interaction for those of you that don't know, if you actually make a copy of something with the Kiki Jiki token, and say you copy it with something like, I don't know, the Eska's Chariot, you actually get to keep the token as it is. So if it's a double-sided creature, it actually never flips back or anything. You just get it as the better side, which I ran into, and I was like, oh, this is neat. Hadn't thought about that.
All right, we've got a Mauling, it looks like, coming down on what?
Probably the Reflection, I would imagine.
That makes sense. I'm a little surprised. I would have assumed that the Angel would have been what comes into play here, but...
Yeah, it gives you a blocker, gives you an additional card, and still gives you an opportunity to race of sorts. I mean, the first Volt Surge would kill something. But I guess it wouldn't really matter. You'd lose it to the Surge, and then you're still taking a pile of damage here, I guess.
Yeah, I probably would have rather had blocked the land this turn and taken the extra 2 from the Tiki Jiki token. But yeah, this looks like a landslide. We're gonna need another Meat Hook Massacre for Jame, which even then I think it's still gonna be too late because they have the treasure and the 2 anvils. Yeah, this is gonna be unfortunately the end of the match here for Jame.
Yeah, it looks like that's just gonna do it. We get to go find an angel, but unfortunately, the angel is futile. Yeah, just not much there. Though, another interesting interaction. Be aware of whose turn it is whenever there's double Meat Hook Massacres. Because one person's stuff stacks before the other person's stuff. I've actually killed somebody like that before. It was one of those times where I was like, I guess I'm going to be dead. I'm like, wait a minute. Their stuff will stack before mine does. So I was like, excellent.
This still puts the one Jame in a 2-1 spot for qualification for top 8. So still in the running. I am going to pop up Hamish Shay's game, and we are actually going to be making a transition for me to take a bit of a break. My eyes are struggling a tad bit, so we're going to go ahead and tag in Airball during this match. So we're going to leave you be for a minute on your own, Power Dragon, while I go grab him.
It's all right. We got this covered. Me and the chat are going to hang out here with Hamish Shay's wonderful VTuber avatar. Love it. Yeah, so far it looks kind of like an identical setup, though we might just be mono black. Oh, it's actually, I guess not, because we saw Hamish Shay earlier. She's actually got Abzan colors here, and just draw Shigeki, which is pretty sweet. Looks like we're just going to lead with wedding announcement. Oh, it did look like she considered drawing a card first, and then maybe drawing and playing Shigeki, which I think would have also been a fine turn. But I also really like Bank Busters here. Like, it's just a card that over time generates so much extra value, and it actually fits more decks than I think we initially thought it was going to fit when it got previewed. All right, picking up a power word kill. So that's going to be pretty strong here. But no land, unfortunately. Now, this is a case where when I usually don't draw lands, I want a Bank Buster on my turn. But with power word kill, if you're afraid your opponent might have something of size or that you need to kill, gives you an opportunity. But there's a good chance the Shigeki might just bite the dust. Because usually if you have a chance to get Shigeki before things go sideways, you want to get rid of it a lot of the time.
Right, so Power Dragon is on the line. Everybody, this is Airball. Airball, please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I am Airball. I am a Degen gamer, and I am coming to save Nerd Girl's eyes for a couple of hours.
Yay! Okay, you
welcome,
two
new
have fun.
co-pilot.
I will be back to switch the match in just a little bit.
Okay. All right, Power Dragon, bring me up to speed. Haven't been watching. What's up?
Cool. Hamish Shay has missed the land drop here or drawing a land for 2 turns, but we just picked one up. And that was from the draw on the Bank Buster. And you're kind of up to speed. It's really been just a kind of nickel and dime back and forth sort of thing here. But we do have 5 lands now to be able to play the Lulth.
Okay. Is it mono black on the other side, or are we?
Yeah, it appears to be mono black, I think, is all the opponents got there. And Hamish Shay does have Abzan, but mostly green, it looks like, for Shigeki and Binding of the Old Gods.
Yeah, Shigeki's kind of a cool include. Really grindy card. And it looks like the meta has shaped up to reward that a little bit. I don't know what bracket we're in right now, but a lot of the decks seem to be super grindy. Black, white, Esper.
You're right. There actually really is a good amount of that. And I've been running into a fair amount on the ladder recently. And it's funny because you're starting to see some people start dipping into Izzet a little bit just for some counters to some of those mid-rangey things. So I think we're kind of at that point where you're starting to see a shift again in the meta just a little bit.
Yeah, I saw, I've seen some players run Izzet Control with Burn Down the House, which is like a super punish to the Esper Super Friends decks, because it hits the Planeswalkers as well. The Wanderer does not like that card at all.
Not even a little bit. Yeah, I'm kind of curious what, I mean, we have a 1, I see, yeah, I was going to say, you just blocked the 4/4. There's really not much else to do here.
Well, I think we're considering trading our Bank Buster, or on the other side, their Bank Buster for ours. But that gives up cards. We have more. They have more counters on theirs than ours. So if they have like a board wipe here, then it makes sense to just chump.
Now, I will say the opponent has a lot of mana here, so that leaves options for damn near everything.
Yeah, Shigeki's tapped. There's no way to bring it back to hand. Meathook Massacre would be pretty devastating right here.
Would also put a lot of counters on Loth, though.
That's true, but we do have the Hive to eventually attack her down. We have the Bank Busters to outcard her. I feel like creatures almost don't matter as much in this matchup.
Yeah, probably not.
It's like either you have a dominant board state or you have a board that doesn't really matter.
Duress was a good pickup, though, in that last turn. All right, I think that's going to really matter here.
All right, so there goes Loth.
Yep, that's an easy answer. Though this is still a lot of damage next turn. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, we're going to draw a card here. Wow.
In phase. All right.
Okay, yeah, definitely fire off this Duress. No hesitation.
What do we see?
I guess we're taking a Meathook Massacre.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Yeah, I don't even think we have to read the other cards.
Yeah, it's forced. But this hand is pretty strong. Henrika is a pretty painful card for us to deal with. Sorin probably not as bad once the Meathook's gone. Probably just attack him down.
Yeah, I think the thing here, though, is you just put the opponent so low.
What do? We crew up with a Spider, get in for 4, 7, 9,
13?
11, and I would actually hold up Shigeki activation. I don't think the difference between 13 and 11 is huge, and I want to be able to activate it.
Yeah, I think... Oh, well, I thought they were going to... Wait, what? Why? Why are our tokens not attacking?
I guess we're concerned about our life total. We do have
We're
to...
at 16. Like, just put the opponent down to 3, and then, yeah.
And if we're going to attack with something that's 2 power, I would make it the token instead of the Shigeki.
Exactly. That was like what I was about to come back to. Like, hey, if we're going to try to put the opponent for 2 extra damage, I'd rather use the Shigeki and go find something else.
Mm-hmm. Shigeki also... We don't have a lot of mana yet, but we do have the option to loop into our Duresses and stuff that are in the bin.
And it's a big difference here, right? Because now the opponent has 3 blockers. You can get 4 damage in. Yeah, if you'd have done 4 extra damage, they're only at 5, and that changes things a lot.
Okay, so what does that do for us?
We can destroy planes. Well, you can't destroy planeswalkers.
No.
Enchantments don't help you because you use too much of an advantage. Artifacts, maybe, if you don't want to have to worry about their bank busters.
What happens if we don't do anything and we just crew up the Bank Buster and attack? What happens then? We crew it up, we hit attack for 3, 8, 10, 12, 14. They can block 5.
You put the opponent down to...
They can block 8 of that? Is that exact lethal? No, it's not. Not quite.
No, you'd be a little bit short. I see what we're doing here. It's like, okay, if you do that, you get in for 6. They have to double block. Well, they can't. Yeah, they wouldn't be able to double block the spiders. So you're going to guarantee 6 damage. Shigeki's attacking again here.
You're going to guarantee 5.
Yeah. All right, so you get in for 6.
Still not in love with the Shigeki attack. I do think if you're going to run Shigeki, you should probably be activating it in most situations, but I guess we're trying to push through as much damage as we can.
But this comes back to last turn, right? Had we attacked with those tokens,
Yes.
that's the difference in the life totals here.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We decide to hold on to the Farewell. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, not enough advantage to be gained from it, and you can use it as a emergency button.
Yeah,
if you need to.
the only punish is if they play Sorin, and I think Sorin is a little too slow given where our opponent's life total is right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Henrika could come down. Does a little bit of something. You do gain 2 there from your Saga. You're at 7.
Opponent has to choose. Okay.
Yeah, just take the lifelink on the backside.
We probably have to, right? Yeah.
All right, opponent's at 7.
Ooh.
Whoa.
I don't know what's in the bin here. But we're going straight for it.
There wasn't much there. That's what I was thinking. I was like, I think it's just that.
Okay, there was a Loth.
Yeah.
And now what? We can swing out, we can force through 3 damage, but they have the 3 points of lifelink, so we're kind of stuffed here.
Yep. I mean, at best, you could attack in with the Bank Buster.
Kind of just like activate Shigeki, replay it on our turn.
Yeah. I was just thinking you attack with a Bank Buster. You give them the choice of choosing either losing a Spider or losing the Henrika.
Yeah. Doesn't seem like a great trade for us, because they can activate their own Bank Buster in response and trade that, and ours is better than theirs.
Yeah. There is a Sorin, though.
Yeah, here he comes.
All right, we have another lifelinker. So now you got the opponent's life total going the wrong direction, and we may have to fire off this farewell.
Yeah, and the big distinction here, of course, is that the opponent has a manland and we don't. And even if we ever find one, Field of Ruin is... They have Field of Ruin for days, and they have the Planeswalker that dodges the farewell. So this feels like it's kind of slipping away.
This is a little interesting to play the Lull first before the farewell, because I don't see where we're really going to get in anything with these spiders.
It could be to encourage the opponent to commit more to the board, then play farewell, and then we both have a Planeswalker in play. If you play farewell first, they get to untap with Sorin on an empty board with a Hive in play.
I think I might have been okay with that, though, because Sorin would have been likely just going to draw for the turn, and you're not going to get rid of Sorin anyway. And then just follow up with back-to-back Lulls, potentially.
This does also hold up the Shigeki activation for whatever that's worth.
True. And you can protect Shigeki from a farewell, so you do have something else afterwards.
True. And we'd have, if we hit land off Shigeki, we'll have the 8 mana to play farewell and replay Shigeki the following turn.
Exactly. So it's not the worst thing. Yeah, the only issue I had with there, like, you don't really get to attack with the spiders for any real value, because they're just going to gain whatever life they would have lost anyway. And unless your opponent just has the foresight of, like, okay, if you're attacking with all these spiders, obviously you're going to have some kind of sweeper. They'll just block everything anyway.
Yeah, the only question is, can you outwide them and force something through? But it looks like the opponent is going much wider than we are. But they are still committing more to the board.
Definitely. They can still draw one. Well, I was going to say, could draw one more card, but they're tapping their mana here.
We do have 4 Menacers. Okay, well, maybe. I think if they hadn't played the Loth, then maybe we would have been able to get through for something.
Yeah, now we have to find at least an additional removal for their Loth, probably.
So those 4 Menacers take all 8 of their blockers, actually.
Whoa.
Okay.
I mean, I guess we have another Lull, so we don't... I mean, I still probably would have protected the Lull. Well, I don't know. The opponent tapped down some creatures here, though.
They go up to 12, but we are going to force through a bunch of menace damage here. And the Vanishing Verse...
we didn't use Shigeki, either.
No, I thought we were going to draw with the Bank Buster if we didn't use Shigeki, but are they just dead?
Yeah, they're at 12. I mean, you get rid of a blocker...
They can block one of the tokens, and they can block one of the 2/2s. I think they're dead on board.
Let's see. Block.
I don't think that was necessary. But
gain 2. Yeah, you gotta... I guess you gotta get rid of one of the blockers? Maybe you don't.
But we can, right? And the opponent's hand is entirely face up. I don't know why we're letting them go to blocks here, but I don't think it matters. I think they're still dead.
Yeah. I would probably, if I was going to do this, though, if you're not sure, I would go ahead and just play Lulth anyway here.
Actually, they're not dead if They also have the lifelink from the 2/3.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
If we had not activated the Bankbuster and Vanishing Verse pre-blocks, I guess they could have activated the Bankbuster in response to... No, because none of those things had 3 power. I think they were
that's
dead.
what I was calculating there. It's like I was thinking you just attack with everything, save to draw a card, and then give your opponent less blockers by getting rid of something with the Vanishing Verse. But I guess maybe...
I'm going to harness my inner Twitch chat and say we missed lethal there. I think they were probably dead.
If not, it would have been very, very, very close. Yeah, I think you just get rid of everything here.
Yeah, do we exile our own graveyard? It's a small question, but we do run Shigeki.
I think so. We don't have anything of real value in our yard right now anyway. And knowing the opponent also has their own, like, Takanumas and other stuff.
Agreed. And they have Hive, is the other thing I was going to say.
Yeah, and this kind of comes back to, had you used the Shigeki previously, you would have still had a land, most likely, to be able to get rid of one of these Planeswalkers. Yeah, now this is tough, because now you're going to lose your Lolth.
Yeah, you're going to get theirs, but this is just a situation where they have a Planeswalker and we don't.
Yeah. Planeswalker plus creature land.
Now, Sorin, when they're on 5, is not the best card advantage engine, right? But
correct.
Nor is Lolth, actually. But it still feels like we're behind the 8 ball here.
Yeah, but I think them, as soon as they start gaining any amount of life, yeah, that's going to be it.
Yeah, so we need to probably... Okay, they cash in the Lolth. Interesting.
It's not bad.
Okay.
I mean, you get to get rid of Sorin anyway. I don't know if I would waste the Vanishing Verse here.
I think you need the Vanishing Verse to deal with the Hive.
Exactly. I think you go ahead and just let Sorin die to the Invoke Despair. And I get how a lot of players might look and say, yeah, but I kind of want the extra life or a card or whatever. But, like, it's not worth it. And you get another Vanishing Verse. All right.
The way I think about these control matchups... The way I think about these control matchups is that each of your individual cards have a job.
For sure.
So, like, I see that Vanishing Verse and I see the man land on the opponent's side of the board, and I know that that's one of the only cards we have that can deal with it.
Yeah, that would have been the thing I would have waited for and done here. Is you go ahead, let them spend the mana, try to attack with everything, because you're going to take the same amount of damage either way this turn.
Well, the opponent did know that we had a Vanishing Verse in hand, so they may have not activated the Hive.
That's okay. I still would have waited till their turn and just give them the option.
That's a pretty good draw.
Yeah, that's solid here. You will only go down to... Oh, you actually can't block anything. Because they either have Menace or Fly.
That's true, but they do have to be a little concerned. Like, 5 is not a super high life total.
All right, let's see what they drew here. Yeah, token's not the most relevant thing. All right, we're manually tapping, so we have some ideas.
All right.
All right. Now we get to kill the land.
And they're holding up their own Field of Ruin.
All right, so we can attack for 4. Okay, you end up at 5 here. So you can still survive another attack step.
Maybe.
And you now can double block unless they have a removal.
Okay.
And it's not great, but it's something.
Yeah, I mean, we just have to try to grind. I'm not sure what we're digging for here anymore.
Yeah, that's pretty tough. All right.
Ooh.
You know it's a hard life when you're using a Soul Shatter to get rid of a 1/1 human token.
I don't think I've ever done that if it wasn't lethal.
Yeah, like that's rough. It kind of tells you the situation you're in. All right, you go down to 1 here. Opponent will gain 2 life and go to 9.
Meat Hook would be pretty good.
Oh, actually, yeah, you just use the imaginary words on Enrica that nobody ever uses.
You know what? I'm not sure I've ever read that card the whole way through.
Yeah, because I think if your creature have flying and some other thing, you give all the stuff +1/+0. So ends up being enough to kill the opponent.
Yeah, tough loss for Mache there.
Yeah.
I think we definitely had our opportunities in that one, and I think it's These mid-range decks are pretty tough to play because you need to make decisions early on about whether or not you're going to be aggressive or hold back, and it's easy to be tentative and like waffle on that decision a few times throughout the game. And if you waffle on it, then you give the opponent time to claw back in.
Yeah, it's one of the things I think can be a little difficult playing that style of deck is you almost have to project, okay, what do I think I'm going to need to do in 2 or 3 turns, right? Like, does this card have value 2 turns from now? Is the thing I'm going to kill valuable to the opponent 2 turns from now, right? And you kind of have to think that way to get the most out of every single card.
Yeah, I find these decks incredibly difficult to play. Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, Flying Death Touch, Lifelink, basically all the abilities in Henrika. Yep, that's exactly it. If your stuff has those abilities, she gives a bonus to them.
The Questing Beast in black.
Pretty much. And they did actually have a flyer, so there you go. It looks like we have... yeah, it looks like everybody is reported. So we're going to have a quick break, and then we'll start the next round.
Cool. I don't know. I wasn't watching your guys' coverage earlier. Did you look at like the Archetype Breakdown and stuff?
We didn't yet, so we can go ahead and take a look at that while we have a little bit of time.
Yeah, I was interested to see what the Archetype Breakdown would be, because these Degen tournaments tend to be like massively mono-white, but I think Esper is like the consensus top tier deck right now.
Let's see, we've got Orzhov, the most represented, the Orzhov mid-range with 5 players, also with Mardu mid-range with 5.
Okay.
And each of those looks slightly different, but kind of fits that same style. Then, mono white aggro, just like you were talking about, with 4 copies. And then Naya Runes only had 3 people register that for the tournament, so I guess it's losing a little bit of favor.
So I didn't know for a while if I was going to be playing in this tournament or if I was going to be casting it. And I figured that if I was going to run any deck, it would probably be the Esper Planeswalkers deck, because I think that either you're going to have mono white or you're going to have these black-white control-based decks. And I feel like the blue splash is just better in those control matchups than the red splash or anything else.
Yeah, it very well might be.
And that's bearing out. The 2 players who brought Esper Planeswalkers have won every match so far.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, they're 5-1.
5-1, but yeah. Apparently match win percentage of 100. All right.
Yeah, so I don't know what that's about. Maybe one of them got a bye or something, potentially? I don't know. Well, no, because I don't know what that loss would have come from. Never mind, that wouldn't make sense. Yeah, I don't know what that is. But either way, still very good showing for those 2 players.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the only, in my experience, the only thing against those that I've really done, like if the decks that have a lot of haste creatures, like various Naya or red-green variants seem to be pretty good against the Planeswalkers, but I think you're right. When you're expecting the rest of the metagame to be either the small, fast aggro or those mid-rangey things, I think you're right. That is a pretty good choice for the day.
Just like generally in the control mirror, the deck that's running blue is the deck that's going to win, because they get to choose what resolves and what doesn't. And the black-white from Esper is pretty good against the mono-whites that I was expecting a lot of. So glad to see that borne out. Kind of wishing I'd played now. It's
a pretty balanced field, though. I mean, there's a bunch of 1s and 2s of things, so everybody kind of is just steering their own ship here, bringing their own thing. So this is kind of interesting.
It is. It does seem to be Black-White's world, and we're just living in it, though. The only decks that had any number, like any reasonable number, that are doing well are the Mardu midrange and the Orzhov midrange. Yeah,
and I think that has a lot to do with Vanishing Verse and Meathook Massacre more than anything else. Like, they're just so good in so many different situations.
And Farewell. Farewell pretty good against all the artifacts and enchantments that are floating around. Gives you a good amount of inevitability against things like Naya Runes, Mono Green. It really puts a clock on the opponent to try to kill you quickly, or you're just going to get so much value off of it.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what I was saying, where, having those late game haste creatures to kind of keep the pressure up afterwards has really been my answer when I've been playing on the ladder, and it's made a huge difference. But the metagame really doesn't have a lot of those right now. People really aren't going down that road.
Yeah, the blue-red decks that I was talking about when I first hopped on the stream, they were running Burn Down the House, which does give you like your haste devils, and then they were like playing Goldspan Dragon, which seems like the biggest non-bow of all time. But you got to do what you got to do in this meta.
That's exactly it. And I think sometimes people will overthink deck building and say like, well, these don't totally work together, so I can't play them in the same deck. And it's like, well, they serve different purposes, and sometimes you don't play them each time together when it happens. And that's okay. Like, they sweep the board and you're like, fine, I'll just play a Goldspan Dragon and hit you for 4. And then I'll just if I need to, I'll make the 3/1/1s from the burn down the house or whatever if I have to.
Yeah, I was looking at specifically Arne Huschenbeth's Is It Control list, and there were just like 5 different non-bows that you would pick out just by looking at it off the bat. But each card answers something that it needs to be answered, and it does it in the best way available.
Yeah, and sometimes that's just the best plan. I was trying to take a look through and see what some of our undefeateds are here, and we do have a Rakdos Sacrifice sitting at 3-0, as well as a Selesnya Enchantments list sitting at 3-0 as well. So that's actually pretty sweet.
I'm curious to see what Selesnya ran into so far in its tournament path. Let's take a look. That's not what I want.
Looks like we have played against Mono White Aggro, Jeskai Combo, and Mono Blue Tempo.
Okay, yeah. So the kind of matchups that you would expect this deck to do extremely well against, right? Just build up a giant lifelinking creature, deals with Mono White very easily. Jeskai Combo is not great at dealing with big creatures that come hasty out of nowhere. Mono Blue Tempo is just not like a real meta deck as far as I know. I'll be interested to see how this does against the Esper decks.
Yeah, the interesting thing for me is when I am looking over their build right now, whenever I've played it, I tend to want to have something like Felidar Retreat or something in there as well for just more late game action. And that tends to help a lot alongside the Hallowed Haunting.
I'm going to cut you off for a second. Phoenix says that the next round is paired, and Nerd Girl is back, so I'm going to let her find the next match to watch.
You know what's funny, Gwibeth? You're saying like somebody only has 7 cards in their sideboard. One of the first times I played a tournament, and this is in the before times, so like tournaments weren't
streaming. We haven't seen LK, who is currently at 2-1.
Okay, let's pull up LK.
That'll be a good match.
Deal.
Like we're just getting started here, I think.
But yeah, in the beginning, like there were people who didn't understand sideboard so much, and a lot of people would actually just play more cards in their main deck and just like don't need a sideboard, it's all in there.
It was funny back in the day of Dimir Rogues where people would just board all 15 of their cards into their main deck. Just to avoid getting milled.
There's crazy stuff people would do. Like there's things that we kind of take for granted now, but yeah, in the beginning, we didn't know what we were doing playing Magic.
Pretty easy mulligan here. This seems great. I don't know what we're up against, and that'll dictate what I'd want to put away.
Yeah, that always makes those decisions very difficult in game 1.
If we're not up against control, I would get rid of the Infernal Grasp. I think Kalane will help us ramp into Lulth, and it seems like we put back a Deadly Dispute. So it looks, if we're up against Black-White, I'm not a huge fan of that because it feels like such an important card in the matchup. And Infernal Grasp does not.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, I guess you know your opponent's deck at least, so because you can look at it before the match starts and know what they're playing. So I'm kind of with you there. I think I would have went for an extra Deadly Dispute. Plus, the treasure could matter too.
Infernal Grasp just seems so weak against these token generator decks.
Yeah.
All right, so interesting include of the Shadow Skull Charger deck, like that being the haste creature of choice.
Dude, I've run into that twice on the ladder in the last like 2 days. I don't know when this became a thing, but each time I was just like, okay, I guess I'll just take 5.
Yeah, it seems so bad, and until it doesn't.
That's exactly it. I'm like, I can't even complain because I have to. It's like it's a real concern. Like I have to deal with this card, and that's why I tell people like it's like a card can be as bad as it wants to be. If it beats you, it beats you. You know, sometimes it's just the right card at the right time.
The combo with Kalane is cute. So it has the +1/+1 counter right away and doesn't bounce back to your hand.
Yep, so it gets to stay. And it has trample here against these tokens. That's the other thing.
We do fear White Source, Wanderer, Exile the Charger, though.
Yeah. It's just one of those things like if they have it, they have it. They didn't, though. And now that, oddly, now that we kept the Infernal Grasp, it's actually going to really matter here.
Yeah. So, do we just grasp the Edgar and get in?
I think so. Because here's the thing. Like, if you get rid of the Edgar here, depending on what they do on their turn, even if they get a couple of 1/1s, you still have Meat Hook for 1 to clear the board and keep the pressure up on the opponent.
Well, they're going to be 2/2s by the time they untap. By the time we untap next.
Oh, that's true. That's true. So you still have to do it for 2.
But we do importantly have trample, which I think makes the difference for me.
Yep, I don't mind this here. Oh, that's an interesting. I don't know. I'm playing against blue here though, with a bunch of extra mana open probably.
Well, it's game 1.
Yeah.
I don't think these, like, I think these Esper Planeswalker decks are running like a copy of Disdainful Stroke and a copy of Negate. Okay.
Yeah, this is gonna be all right. So now you can meat hook for 2, but then you put 6 counters on Lolth, and you're only gonna be able to attack Lolth for 3.
Well, hang on. If we,
I mean, you might
ignore
just Shatter
Lolth?
Skull smashing, right?
Can we just ignore Lolth, get them low, and kill them with Goldspan Dragon the following turn?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, you can put them down to 6 here, and then you have 9 with 5 of it being trample, even if they get spiders.
I think attacking a Lolth on 7 is a losing battle.
Yeah, I think you just go ahead, put them down to 6, and see if you can find a way to get there.
I would not play that as a land.
Yeah, I was gonna say at this point, I might want to hold on to that.
Opponent isn't kind of an uncomfortable spot when we have our own meat hook in play.
And we do have to remember this token does have lifelink.
And the Hive has Menace.
Yeah, so these are all real things.
A lot for our opponent to balance here, but it does feel like if we can't kill them this coming turn, it does feel like they might just stabilize and win.
Yeah, I agree.
Like if Edgar turns back into Edgar.
Yeah, this is tough just because the spiders have reach. Doesn't really let your dragon do much of anything.
That's a card I haven't seen in Standard, I think, ever. And the Soul Raid.
That's another one that's
Raid.
making the rounds lately. Yeah, the meta's, like, Standard right now is really good. Just so many quality cards you can play.
Yeah, except everything in Standard to me seems to be so sticky that the games either turn into, like, huge grind fests, and the only decks that go way over the top sometimes just fizzle out.
Oh, sure. But I don't think it leads to a bad place, though. I think you still get some interesting games out of it.
Yeah, I think you do. I think you also get very long games out of it.
Yeah, this is a tough spot because none of the cards we have here do a whole lot on their own.
Well, Kalane makes a treasure token, and then we can use both of them to cast the dragon, so it'll be a 6/6. We will, have to pay life with the silencer in play, but Meddling Mage it is not. We can still cast it.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Like, if you get a 6/6, you attack with that, and your charger, they trade the spiders for the dragon, you trample. Well, no, you wouldn't even trample. They could double block your charger. Yeah, this wasn't a lot there.
What happens here if we attack? We attack for 5 trample. They have 5 points of toughness. If the charger dies, they take 1 off the meat hook.
Yeah, but then you're just staring at spiders again next turn, plus Edgar. Yeah, I think we're getting to the point that this might start getting away from us here.
I think I kind of like just attacking there. I think letting the opponent untap is kind of just conceding. If you attack and they make the wrong block, then you might get them low enough that a Hasty Dragon or a Menacing Hive gets through next turn.
For sure.
But this feels grim. And I don't know what gets us out of it from here.
Yeah, even another meat hook's not enough, really. Because they're going to gain some amount of life. Well, they won't attack here with the token, so...
Whoa, they did attack with the token. But I guess their plan is to minus Lolth anyway.
Yeah. Well, that token gets through. I was thinking more of the lifelink token. But because if you get a meat hook here, you can meat hook for 3, but then you can only attack for 2.
Okay, we found it.
Yeah, you put the opponent to 4. And you're not dead at that point.
Put the opponent to 4, which is conspicuously how much power a Goldspan Dragon has.
Yeah, so that's something.
But more spiders are coming.
Yeah. That's the issue. This Loth is just so big. And actually, you do set Loth up to where Loth could ultimate, potentially. But you probably just
who
make
cares?
spiders.
Who cares
still.
about the Loth ultimate? I think you're better off if you just forget that text exists.
You're right. It's not relevant often.
I think
But I think here it doesn't matter. You just make spiders anyway. It's just not going to matter.
Yeah, I mean, the only way that they're ever going to attack is if their board is so wide that the extra damage from the Loth ultimate doesn't matter.
Yeah, Meat Hook. Looks like it might get countered.
Well, we could never
Or
be
we
the
might
counter.
be looking to sacrifice something.
There are angry dogs about.
Yeah. All right, they're thinking pretty long and hard about this.
What are we thinking? Deadly Dispute?
Probably.
Ooh, didn't see that coming.
Oh. Oh.
So I think we were probably tanking on whether to bounce the Edgar or the Meddling Mage, or the Silvercrow Silencer.
I mean, I might have bounced Charger.
I guess there's no reason to bounce Charger.
Like, so I'm kind of trying to think, like, how can you lose from here? But if you're at 4, there are some situations here now where we could go Kalane into Loth, and then the Meat Hook Massacre starts to become into the equation.
Yeah, kill our own stuff.
Yeah, or even just blocking, you know? But, like I said, had you bounce the Charger, you wouldn't have taken that extra 2, and that could make a difference.
So we have the option here of Kalane into Goldspan. But that Goldspan's never getting through. It feels like it's gotta be... Feels like it's gotta be Loth here, right?
Yeah, I think Kalane into Loth is just better. So you have the maximum number of blockers where you can almost set up situations where attacking or blocking will be lethal.
Is there any reason to attack first?
No!
Oh.
No!
Oh, I'm not sure what LK expects to happen here.
Whoa.
Going upstairs. Okay. So we're gonna eat the hive, surely, and we'll trade 2 things for the Charger.
But I don't like this at all.
No, this is tunnel
Like,
vision, I think. Like, I think this
Yeah.
is what happens when you think, okay, the opponent is super low. I can't win unless I make this crazy play. So you make a crazy play and then you lose.
I mean, I guess the other option is maybe he's considering, all right, I definitely lose these 2 creatures. Then I play Loth next turn. And then they're still at 2, and if they attack, I still win.
Well, how much are they attacking for if they activate the Hall?
Oh, actually, they get a token. They still have the token to gain life here, though.
Yeah.
So yeah, that won't matter anyway because you killed the Edgar. That was the problem with the plan. Whereas if you'd have just played Kalane plus Loth, now you still get to keep. Oh, well, actually, they're not attacking. Oh, they can't. It has
Summoning Sick, yeah.
So you at least have that.
They also have the Hall on backup for a block, whatever that's worth.
I think you're still kind of in the same spot here. Yeah, because the dragon is just going to put them down to 1 when they block it, and then they'll just gain 2 back. So that doesn't really do much.
Yeah. It'd be nice if we still had that hive.
I think it's still Kalane plus Loth here.
I could see an argument where it's not Loth, where it's not Kalane. Just play Loth, try to live a turn, and then have a surprising Kalane into Goldspan that's bigger than they're expecting the next turn. But
that's true. If you can get the life totals to work out. Because we have to play as though the opponent's going to be at 4 and then go down to 2. Assuming you get to block with both your spiders.
Yeah.
So this could still work.
Is there a world, I wonder, Maybe they don't attack with the lifelinker. I think it's
No,
strictly
actually,
correct to do it, but
This actually doesn't work because you would still only get your gold span dead next turn, and then they still get to attack with a lifelinker the following turn.
I'm trying to think if there's some like some great top deck where we draw Meathook Massacre, we kill all the spiders, and then we get to play a dragon that gets in for lethal. Like play Goldspan Dragon, play Meathook, dragon goes down to 2 power, but that's all you need right now.
Maybe?
But we just don't have the mana.
Yeah. This is why I was saying I really liked having the Kalane out, because you guarantee 3 creatures on the board, where the dragon next turn would be lethal with them being at 1. Problem is now they gain 4, they go to 2 after blocking.
Yeah, the lifelink resolves first.
Yeah. And then I'm assuming, I guess if they don't make spiders here, but I can't imagine a world where they don't. So it'd end up being your only out really here. Barring them having actual removal to your dragon. Yeah. And
That's
a lot
pretty
more
good, too.
cards. Yeah.
That's actually outstanding, right? Because the opponent can attack, and then whatever we block to try to kill them, they can actually sack to the chef.
Exactly. Yeah, that's just not going to do it. Yeah, and this is what I was saying earlier. Like, had you been able to block with the Kalane, then attacking with the dragon, could have been... Well, I guess not, because they drew away to sacrifice a creature anyway.
It's kind of cute that the spider is so big that like that they actually would rather it not be as big as it is.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like you said, I think the Dockside Chef kind of shores everything up there. So now you can never get the thing dead that you want dead, unfortunately.
Yeah, it would have been really cool if they hadn't drawn that chef, though. I think we might have gotten there.
Yeah,
But
I think the problem...
we used the treasure on the Goldspan, so it went up to a 5/5 anyway.
Yeah, I think the problem, though, is you just end up... Your creature dies, you go to... The opponent goes to 1, but then they get to attack with a minimum of a 3/3 or a 4/4 this turn, and then you just can't get back ahead. Yeah, now there's so many there's 5 spiders with that are 4 power here. That alone is just going to get the game over.
Yeah. We have 2 blockers. We can block 11 damage here. We're still taking 24. Not great.
Mm-hmm. Well, now we're just twisting the knife. I mean, like Henrika shows up just for sport at this point.
Henrika also, like, low-key a pretty good answer to Goldspan Dragon decks that I've been playing against.
Yeah.
There is no way out here.
We are for real going through all the motions here just to end this game.
You know, it's funny though, like late in these tournament days, like after you've been grinding for a while, sometimes I just do it anyway because I know that I miss stuff. Conceding early can get you in trouble. Like, nothing feels worse than conceding when you actually, if you had just gone through the motions, you would have still lived.
Oh, I've done that before, for sure.
Okay, so against Espery stuff, Immerstorm Predator seems reasonably good. Although Meathook Massacre is a pretty reasonable answer to it. Inferno seems good to me. Trespasser seems good in these grindy matchups. Go Blank seems acceptable.
Yeah, I think I want Go Blanks also. Yeah, I would just be looking for all the kind of... I'm with you, kind of the long-term value things here.
I think I'm okay trimming a couple Goldspan Dragons. I think this is not the matchup for them. Opponent showed a Soul Shatter in the main deck. Lulth lines up super well with it.
The Draco Lich is interesting if you can keep their Lulth under control.
If the opponent doesn't have Go Blanks of their own.
Yeah. That could be kind of interesting.
But stuff is definitely going to be dying. The Draco Lich, I think, is an auto-include.
I wonder how much we need to be holding on to the unexpected windfall in this fight. Like, the extra cards are nice. I'm just wondering if they're just other value cards. Yeah, maybe.
Like, it kills stuff, but it kills stuff that the opponent is already sort of priced into killing.
Yeah, that's sort of what I'm thinking. Like, it's not bad.
I don't love it.
But I mean, it's really just it's really if you can get it early, because later in the game, once we flip the wedding announcements, it loses a lot of value.
I think I would absolutely prefer to bring in the 2 go blanks to the 2 Cinderclasms.
Yeah, I think so too. But Lord Kaiju, he's had some good results in a few of these. Oh, the rare no land mulligan. That doesn't happen too often.
Yeah, okay, definitely more experience with these red-black dragon shells than I am. Again,
yeah, I like this is a really good start here that I like. So this is the get you to 5 mana on turn 3.
Yeah, this is just hope we can get the dragon down at a time when it matters. Kalane's an interesting draw.
I don't think I want Kalane here, though. I think I would just go for all the glory on the Goldspan Dragon.
I don't know what's in the opponent's sideboard. I am concerned about getting the dispute countered.
Oh, for sure. That is real. But we get a backup dragon, so that's mostly okay.
Okay. So can we Kalane into Goldspan? Not quite.
All right. You got to try it. If they counter, they counter. Yep.
So is this Disdainful Stroke? Yeah, because they didn't have any priority last turn for the Deadly Dispute. Okay. We get to play Kalane, try to run it back.
All right. Can randomly Cinderclasm if they play a wedding announcement if you feel the need to, but you can probably wait till they have at least 2 tokens to get value from.
I am terrified of the Wanderer here. The difference between a turn 5 Goldspan Dragon and a turn 3 one is huge. Okay, so here's Edgar. That's not so bad.
Yeah, and Wanderer is just... The Wandering Emperor is such a great card that you're seeing everywhere right now.
And now we just have to spray and pray, right? Yeah.
Yep. High five. Here you go. They're saying just don't have it, don't have it, don't have it. This is where when I'm streaming, I literally just like cover my eyes and wait.
I've seen Jim just like get up and walk away from the table.
Oh, I totally just like, all right. And then when I hear the untap noise when it's my turn, I'm like, excellent.
I lived?
They didn't have it.
Okay, so the attack with Edgar is kind of aggressive. Malevolent Hermit. Interesting choice.
It's not bad in this matchup, though. I like that.
Yeah, it plays into the Cinderclasm here, but I'm not sure I would even fire it off.
Yeah, it doesn't do much.
I mean, you have to, right? Like, if you draw Lolth, then you'll feel terrible for not having Cinderclasm here.
But you would have been able to Cinderclasm and still cast Lolth.
At the expense of your treasures, right? If they crack the Hermit bonds. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, sure. It would cost treasures.
You could have waited just to see what you get. But now it looks like we're just going to be attacking with creature lands. So
sweet.
That's a thing.
Kalane's got to get in, right?
Yeah, I'm just going for it. I'm like, you're at 14. I can put you down to 10, and I've got more lands coming. Like, yeah, I'm
not even sure we want to block with Kalane, right? Like, if we draw Goldspan Dragon, then we'd love to have the extra boost from the treasure.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing. I'm either if I'm not attacking, I need to be blocking with it.
I guess maybe keep it untapped to play around Wandering Emperor. That's all I can think of.
All right, looks like here we're thinking about going with Den of the Bugbear.
Yeah, we got to attack with some land here. I feel like whatever we activate is dead.
I do too, and that's kind of why I don't mind attacking with Den of the Bugbear here, because it's harder to block the Hive of the Eye Tyrant later.
Yeah, it's like 6 of one, half dozen of the other, because I think like the Den represents a go wide threat later in the game that we wouldn't have had. Like if we activate the Hive there and the Hive is what dies, then the Den of the Bugbear is what comes next. And if they...
Yeah, but I also think the opponent being... If we had been attacking, they could be at like 9 here, and that's only a couple attacks from the Hive, which would have really mattered.
I do not understand the Naked Meat-Hook Massacre there, though.
Yeah, most of their removal is exile stuff, so you're not going to get that much value off of it anyway.
I cannot imagine we're blocking here.
Looks like we are blocking.
Okay. I don't know what the game
But
plan
this
is
is
here if
tough
we're blocking.
because we haven't been attacking with it. We did put the opponent in a situation where,
Yeah, and if we had that meat hook, then
yep, you'd at least been able to attack into Lolth and kill it.
we could have meat hooked for 1 and activated the hive to kill Lolth. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So instead, we were in the uncomfortable spot of having to activate the hive, attack Lolth, trade our hive for 2 spiders, and Lolth still doesn't die.
Well, yeah, it'll
No, she
take
does
damage
die.
first. Yeah. It's just, do they want to trade both spiders for your hive? And absolutely they will. But now you're only at 8. That's 2
Well,
shots from...
We gained 2.
Oh, that's true. That's true. You do go to 10.
I don't think I'd play Kalain here.
You just turn Kalain into a 2/3. Get another
Basically,
treasure.
you spent the card to give Kalain vigilance.
Yeah, you drain the opponent for a life. They're at 9. I'm trying to think, like, what do we draw here? I mean, I guess if we brought in... I
The
wasn't paying
Inferno?
attention. If we brought in the Inferno, yeah, I was thinking, like, that could be lethal here. That's not bad.
So we can do it for 4. Not quite enough. But it wouldn't matter
the
anyway.
problem
'Cause
here is-
yeah.
I don't even really want to get rid of Edgar just to give him the lifelink stuff, though.
True. I also don't love killing the Hermit because it'll come back with flying.
Yeah, it's like, this isn't great. This not what I want to be doing here. But again, this lets you put them down to 7. You get attacked to 2. Oh, I guess they sack it, so...
He still dies,
All
but
right.
yeah.
And you might as well attack. They don't have haste creatures.
I think you have to attack.
Yeah, I feel like... Yeah,
If
I
you're
feel
not
like
going to attack, you have to
attacking...
block.
We missed like 3 possible attacks with Kalain, which would have put the opponent down to
5 or
2, 3,
6.
4. So they'd be at 5 at least.
Well,
Which
Kalain wasn't
gives
always
you,
2 power, but yeah.
Yeah, which gives you more lethal answers. But yeah, that's not going to do it either way.
So we're not strictly dead. Doesn't feel good.
Yep, and we get to go down to well.
What happens if we find Inferno?
1,
We
2,
attack for
3,
7.
4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, you're still 1 short.
Yeah.
Lolth is probably the only real answer here. And even then, if they have a removal, it wouldn't do anything.
Predator doesn't gain life when you tap it,
No.
right? Yeah. Do we have enough to activate the hive to block? We do not.
Nope. Yeah, that's everything.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. That's just where it felt like the cards almost came up like a turn behind where you wanted them in a few of those. And the turn where we used that meat hook for 0, I think was not great.
That's true as well. Yeah, if we had had that meat hook in hand to deal with the lull spiders and the Malevolent Hermit, that would have been a completely different ballgame.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, we've seen 2 mid-range matchups where our hero has kind of like waffled a couple times in the middle of the match, not known exactly what to do, gone back and forth, and then gotten punished for it in the extreme. It's definitely a tough meta to play games in.
Yeah, and even we get the benefit of backseat driving here, over the players, but there are a lot of times where they could have a certain line in their mind of like, okay, if I draw this other card, this thing happens, and then sometimes it just doesn't come together. So as much as it looks like, oh, they made this misplay or they forgot to attack, or it's just like, sometimes it's just one of those things that things just don't work out. Let's hop over to the mono blue tempo. I think people would enjoy watching that.
Okay, James, we're coming for you.
That's a rare treat. And I have played this on ladder, I guess it was about 3 weeks ago now. And it actually is a playable deck, surprisingly. Depending on how you choose your spells. Because there's a lot of times where right now, getting to where your opponent has to pay 2 more with the spell pierce or whatever is huge in this meta.
I am kind of wondering how Mono Blue Tempo ended up with a Graveyard Trespasser.
Yeah. How would we end up with a Graveyard Trespasser? Trying to think, is there any way we would have stolen a card? Oh, actually,
There must be, right?
are they playing the 5 mana thing from Kamigawa that steals a card? Maybe that's it.
I thought that was an alchemy only card. Maybe I'm crazy.
No. There's one that it's the blue invoke.
I don't know, man. If it doesn't see standard play, I don't know about it.
That's the only thing I can think of that it would be. I'm like, what else? What else would it be? I'd say that. Oh, actually, not true. They also, you have the other 4 mana one where you sacrifice a creature, you steal a creature, it gets a +1/+1.
Sure, I'll take your word for it that exists. Why not?
Yeah, that's also a thing too. So they probably played that. I played way too much in too many decks. Like the fact that I know all these random ass cards, I don't know if that's good or bad. Yeah, let me go take a look at the list here because now I'm curious. I'm like, which one of these were they playing?
Can't be Mind Flayer, chat. Mind Flayer was not on the board.
No, it definitely wasn't Mind Flayer. They have Annul, Spell Pierce, Test of Talents, March, Disdainful Stroke, Negate, Tempted by the Auric. That is the other one. Yeah. For each opponent, you gain control of up to 1 target creature or planeswalker that has mana value 3 or less.
I do feel like
that is the random 3rd steal card that I did not consider.
I do feel like this matchup ought to be good for James, just on its face. We have a lot of cheap interaction, we have hand hate, we have board presence. It seems like the kind of stuff that Mono Blue Tempo would really hate to deal with.
Sort of, but the problem is they do get to bring in Spell Pierces, Test of Talents, Negates, Disdainful Strokes. Like, those are great in the current meta. And that's what I was saying. Like, this deck is viable if you choose the right package of spells.
I think those cards are good in the meta. I don't think they're good against James, because James actively, like, he built his deck to have these 1-for-1 trades and then win the top deck war later.
That's fair, but they're also not playing the most hyper aggro version of Mono Blue Tempo either. They are playing like Demi Lich to get some recursive creatures. Imrith, like we saw at the end there. It's just
cool
hard for decks to deal with.
It's kind of cool that we're not playing Snow. A lot of the Mono Blue decks are running Snow to take advantage of the what's it called, the Ascendant Spirit.
Yeah, and that's definitely what I was doing with mine. So it's interesting to see this version play out, and it kind of makes sense with the spells they've chosen, because they also didn't go small and play like Delver or whatever else. They're playing a lot of things to just buy time to eventually stick, and they have Poppet Stitcher as well. So if that hits, then it's like, okay, now I'm going to be playing spells, making some tokens, and trying to take over that way.
Looks like we chose to play around Jwari Disruption there, which I assume the Mono Blue Tempo deck is running.
Yeah. No, actually, it's not on their list. Their lands. Actually, wait. No, it's not on their list at all. Actually,
bizarre.
Yeah. For their mana, all they have is 22 lands, 1 Otawara, and 1 Hull of the Storm Giants. So they're playing 24 lands. No other DFCs outside. Oh, they actually do have Delver. I was mistaken. So they have Delver and Poppet Stitcher are their only DFCs in here.
Poppet Stitcher. That's a spicy include in your Delver Demi-Lich deck.
Yeah.
It feels a little win more, but like I kind of want to see it pop off.
Yeah, lots of cheap spells. I mean, you got Fading Hope, Consider. You see a Guard Approach, which can do a couple different things.
It's got to be
a card
Guard.
you don't see often in Alchemist Retrieval, which is another bounce spell.
It's got to be Guard Approach here, right? Just get rid of the annoying Hexproof. Everything else is card disadvantage.
Yeah, I would think so. Demi-Lich. Yeah, you got to do that.
Like, you don't care if your stuff gets bounced. Like, you actively
want
that's
what
that
I was
to
thinking.
happen.
Like, you don't really care, but you need to be able to resolve the thing you want when the time comes.
The bounce spells are going to make it awkward for the Goblin off of the Fable, but, you know.
Sure. But they have 2 of them anyway, so, like, you just pick which one to take and they just use the other one.
Yeah, if they're trading their 1 card for your half of a card, or a third of a card, then I think you're pretty okay with that. And there goes
Demi-Lich.
Demi-Lich.
They effectively kept a hand with no real value here in this matchup.
Well, I think that's why I'm saying. I think this matchup is really bad for Mono Blue Tempo. Like, their game plan just runs into a brick wall against us, because it is our game plan, but worse.
Yeah, I think that took away one of the few things they could do. Getting rid of that Demi Lich is actually pretty good, solid. All right. What do you do from here? It doesn't feel like much.
Is there anything in the bin that Demi Lich is going to scare us with?
You don't have a removal for it.
We can't. We do have the option of attacking with the Hive, letting it go to night.
Yeah, which is probably reasonable.
I still think depending on what's in their bin, I kind of want to attack with the Graveyard Trespasser.
Yeah, Trespass. Yeah.
Like, it's going to be so hard for them to recur that Demi Lich, right? I would think.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. I mean, but they do have 2 more spells they get to play, so maybe.
Their spells don't do anything, is the problem. Like,
yeah, I mean, they're bouncing, like, you know, on a future turn, maybe they use it to bounce your Hive of the Eye Tyrant or something, but they're not really doing anything fantastic with them.
Well, a lot of their stuff that they recast from the graveyard has to be when they're attacking with Demi Lich, right?
Oh, true.
So like a lot of that stuff will just not deal with the Hive if it's not in their hand. But it looks like that's what we did. We attacked with the Hive and let it go to night.
And yeah, nothing wrong with that play at all. I mean, opponent's at 13, you're at 21, so you're not really at risk at all.
So
they do have 2 bounce spells, so they can slow things down.
Yeah, this is painful. Fading Hoping the Glutton is just straight card disadvantage.
Yeah, I mean, like, what do you do, though, right? Like, this is kind of the only thing you can do here.
Yeah, obviously, the bouncing the experts is not significantly better.
But we can look at it this way, right? You do still have another bounce spell, an unknown card. You've got, 4 mana open. Yeah, there's still options here for the opponent.
Yeah, the question is, do we play the Trespasser or do we get our Saga going?
Also, that Elite Spellbinder could make this a bit more difficult as well, depending on what that other card is.
Could. I think the problem with that is that the opponent has so much mana that it's not really going to stop them from casting anything.
All right. Still at 17 life, so again, not really at risk for. Oh, okay.
You're like maybe 2 seconds ahead of me, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, exactly. Like this starts to make a bit of a difference.
I don't know that I'm super scared of that. Opponent's at
No,
11.
I don't think it's about being super scared, but it does change the combat math and stuff a little bit.
Well, suppose we attack with the Hive here, and they eat an expert, then we're still getting in for 8. I guess they have the Fading Hope, though, so that's not a great play.
Yeah. That's the real concern. It's the Fading Hope situation here.
But we can be patient. The flying on Paulo is relevant, and I doubt the opponent's going to be able to actually deal with it, unless they draw, like, their Steel spell again.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting, too. It's like, how important is that other card in their hand? Like, what does it do? And can they cast it if it gets exiled?
Well, they use the other card to pay the ward cost on the Trespasser, so...
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. I was like, depending on what it was. Because they had plenty of mana. They could have definitely played it. So, I mean, there's a world where maybe they could have let the Spellbinder hit, bounce the Spellbinder.
We're not attacking with the Decay token.
That's a little awkward. You can't block with it.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if they have like some sort of exploit way to use it. But it's just mono blue.
Oh, maybe they're just waiting because they can flip their Poppet Stitcher maybe next turn.
That's a good draw. James looks relieved. He's been stuck on all these 3 mana spells with 5 mana.
Yeah. All right. So what do you do here? Life totals are even at 11. And, you know, like we were saying, even though the Poppet Stitcher didn't look great, it does give you some extra power here, which does matter.
Okay, so we exile our own creature to get the extra ping. Opponent's graveyard is empty, which is not a great situation for the Demi Lich. It inconveniently flips today.
All right. Totals are 10 to 12. We know one of the cards. What's the other one?
Oh, we're gonna find out.
And it does matter if it's a spell or not to trigger the Poppet Stitcher also. So this is...
I don't know that it does, right? Like, if you just double Fable here, do you really care about the extra decay token?
I don't think so.
I think you can attack here with the Spellbinder and the Glutton
Yeah,
if
I think
you
the
want.
Spellbinder's safe no matter what.
I don't know that I love the Duress. That's a random card off the top. Most it's likely to do is create another token. And
yeah, the problem is if it's something they can use, they would have used it on their turn, or it's an instant anyway.
Yes. Ooh.
So you're just not going to get as much off of it. So you're probably better off playing 2 of the Fable of the Mirror Breaker.
Unless it's a literal counterspell.
True.
But this is
that's pretty strong.
Yeah. So all of a sudden they're swinging in for 6, 8, 12.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are
But now
dead
you
to
have
removal.
to play a Fable just to block.
Well, we could, if we want to play around... Yeah, I was going to say we could activate the Hive to play around Sorcery Speed removal, but there's no way that this blue deck is running Sorcery Speed removal, so it's got to be Fable here. No, because they can recur the March off of the Demi-Lich.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter.
That was a hell of a top deck.
Yep, most definitely, yeah.
If we had not Duressed and we had double Fabled, would we live?
If you not Duress double Fable, likely. Well, because they targeted their Demi-Lich as one of the cards they exiled, or... Yeah, so maybe not, because you would have still had one of yours phased out, and then they could have bounced the other one.
Yeah. So we would be taking 1 less hit here, I guess.
Yeah.
We'd be taking 10.
All right. Activating Hive.
Okay, so they didn't have removal.
They didn't have anything.
Now we're swinging for 5, 8, 9.
Yeah, you got it. If there's... Oh, it's not quite enough.
Yeah.
Well, you do get to... Oh, no, because there's no creatures to drain.
Even if I accounted for that. So like 5 off the Glutton, 3 off the Spellbinder, 1 off the Expert.
Now you can get rid of the Poppet Factory or whatever.
I think if the opponent untaps more than 1 more time, we're dead anyway. I guess it does let us... If we do the Vanishing Verse plus Fable, yes, it'll get rid of the Anthem, right? And those zombies, you can take a hit from one of them.
Exactly.
Sure. Okay. We can do that. We can do that mid-combat if we want.
And this gets rid of the Lich, so you get to drain for a point. To put you to 4.
Now the question is, do we Vanishing Verse main phase? And it looks like James is not screwing around. We're just getting rid of that, not letting the opponent draw a counterspell.
That's exactly it. Like, if they have the counter now, it doesn't matter. But you don't want to give them the opportunity to get an additional one.
Yeah, and these are decay tokens anyway, so there's no way the opponent's going to hold them back to block anyway. So there's no way to combat trick them with it.
All right, this is it.
Opponent says good game.
Yeah, I think March was probably the only other out there. Well, I guess that's not true. A bounce spell or March. Well, no, because they had 3 blockers, so it probably had to be March.
This is interesting. Block with the Spellbinder instead of the chump with the Acquisitions Expert.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess they could have a card here and still be in the game.
Well, we can only do 4. Oh no, it flips to Night. Okay, that's why. So we're gonna get in for 5 here, which is exactly lethal.
Okay, they didn't have anything to play. I was gonna say if they had anything to keep it from flipping, but it looks like they don't.
And we have Ward on the Glutton as well, so it doesn't actually matter what they have, as long as it's not a flash creature to block. Okay, looks like we got there.
Wow, that was super close.
Need to make sure we exile a creature. Okay, did it.
Yeah, that was something. That was pretty cool.
That is the face of relief.
Yeah.
Good job, James. Congratulations. That was a hello game.
I have to admit, like, I kind of like this build of the mono blue tempo. It's definitely different than what I've expected. I mean, it does not look like any of the versions that I'd seen running around or anything I'd put together. So
feels cool
it's
against
pretty
the
cool.
Feels cool against the Is It decks. I feel like it's bringing a knife to a gunfight against these black-white decks.